Please welcome Chief Technology and Product Officer at Lumen, Dave Ward.
Hey everyone, I am the last speaker before lunch. And my name is Dave Ward, and as you just heard, I'm the Chief Technology and Product Officer at Lumen. What that means, after we've peeked through the keyhole of so many industries, is that I'm going to show you what's going on in the world of telecommunications. Lumen is a service provider, and I admit I'm a bit flinger. I think about passing packets and photons. There has to be somebody that does that. So that's me. So Lumen, we call ourselves and refer to ourselves as the trusted network for AI. And what's really fascinating for me, thinking about the connectivity portion of what we heard this morning, for an AI strategy, you obviously need to choose an AI partner. We're at a Palantir conference, we have something in common. Almost all the use cases were getting access to locked data and understanding the relationships of that data. So for an AI strategy, you need to choose an AI partner, you need to have a cloud strategy, but frequently what's not talked about at all is that connectivity and moving that data to feed the platform, to feed the LLMs, and on average, what we're seeing from our enterprise customers is on the order of 36 different data sources. Our company is no different, your company is probably very similar. The data is locked on-prem, the data is in data centers, the data is in hyperscalers, the data is in SaaS platforms. To unlock that data, you have to be able to connect it all together. And so the transformation going on in the service provider world is around, of course, this AI revolution. Many things that perhaps you've been reading in the industry are around the growth of data centers and the gigawatt data centers that are being built. As was said earlier today, for AI infrastructure, you have to have the power infrastructure, you have to have the water, the real estate, and also you have to have the connectivity infrastructure. So to put it into perspective, we have about 240 million square feet of data centers in the US today. By the end of 2028, we're going to have about 1 billion square feet of data center space. And so just the fundamental amount of money going into AI and going to these data centers leads me to describe one of our first businesses, which is backbone business. Lumen has the largest amount of conduit and the largest amount of fiber in the lower 48. And we recently announced $8.5 billion of new contracts with hyperscalers and data centers to interconnect the new AI regions. And so we're focusing a lot of our business on building that backbone for AI. Also, we are an enterprise services company. And so as I've heard so many of the talks today, and what I'm going to show in my presentation in the examples, the fundamental question is, how can enterprises join the AI economy? How can they get access to that data? How can they rebuild the telecommunication services that are necessary to transform their own companies to be relevant and to take advantage of the AI economy? So we build metro fiber, inner city fiber, connection to data centers, connection to the hyperscalers. We're the largest by means of traffic internet service provider in America and the world, in fact. And so bigger and better internet. But there's a couple things just talking about history and the transformation. It took about 30 years to get from some of the early concepts of the internet to widely deployed about 25 years ago. It took about 15 years to get to Cloud 1.0, and that's the cloud economy that we know today. But what I just mentioned is that with basically 4 times the amount of AI data centers being built in the next 3 years, it's a fundamentally different transformation speed that has to happen for all of us in this room, and certainly for me in our company. So cloud, scale, and what I mean by scale, to really simplify this, it takes over 100 gig link about a day to move a petabyte. Okay, puts it in perspective. So therefore, feeding the data for LLMs is frequently talked about in exabytes. That's 1,000 petabytes. Unacceptable to use that level of speed. So we're building a new network, as I just mentioned, and really bringing in new on-ramps to the cloud, new on-ramps to data centers, and moving from 100 gig to 400 gig to 800 gig to 1.6 terabit as a basic connectivity directly to enterprises, and of course, as new on-ramps and hyperscalers and data centers. So that's the physical aspect of it. The next aspect is we're transforming the traditional telecommunications business, as we've heard from so many companies today, from being paper-driven to being a digital experience. I want to connect from X to Y, I want to hit a button, I want to go now, or I want to use APIs to get that done. And so that digital layer is a fundamental transformation of the customer experience that we want to bring into the market. What you can see in this map is what I deal with every day. And what I mean by that is a telephone network. Many folks know, they see the big windowless brick buildings in their metropolitan area. Telephone's central office. That was built over the last 120 years or so of every single copper line for every telephone brought to a central location. Perhaps there's some wiring centers, often tens if not hundreds in each metropolitan area. How does the copper lines or the legacy network that was built over the last 30 years be relevant in the AI economy? It's really not. We're a highly regulated industry. We have to handle 911 services. We're a critical infrastructure for the nation and for all of the industries here. So I'm working to transform not only my industry, but enable enterprises to be able to transform their companies by changing the access technology and the speed that has been the foundation of how companies have gotten to where they are today. So that leads me to my first example. We partnered deeply with Palantir because Lumen historically, although you may not necessarily recognize the name, you may recognize that we are an accumulation of acquisitions. You may know CenturyLink, Level 3, Quest, Savis, TW Telecom, Wiltel, et cetera. These all form the company that is Lumen. I've been there about a year and a half and brought in not only to change the network architecture, but to change the back-end architecture. Because as I arrived, like many companies here who are created through acquisition, nothing gets turned off. All the data silos exist. All the inventory systems exist. And it's that unlocking the data and forming a relationship that really is my first example of how we take out our legacy equipment and take out our legacy architecture. And to do that, we needed to not only transform that network architecture, but in particular, transform the workflows in the operational environment to get that done. It was driven by paper. You know, you see the people driving around in trucks and doing telecom work and things like that. Telecommunications was a completely ticket-driven industry. And so what you're highlighting, what I'm highlighting in here in this demo video was what it looks like in a metropolitan area for a central office and then the wiring centers around it and how the connectivity of enterprises is connected there. And so we needed to be able to go into those inventory systems, fully deconstruct customer, line, devices connected to, in which wiring center, and deploy technicians to be able to take that equipment out. And transform how that network is going to be built. Like a lot of enterprises here, that transformation, particularly of a physical assets-based company like we are, and so many that presented earlier than me, we actually have to transform the hardware. I mean, we're talking about the copper lines going down the poles, we're talking about the fiber in the ground, we're talking about those buildings and what's in them. And of course, like everyone in a transformation, we're setting targets for how much cost can we take out. And for me, the cost we want to take out is of the legacy equipment and the legacy systems and architecture that is, one, old, but two, preventing enterprises and customers from getting into the AI economy. So to do that, we partnered with Palantir, deeply understand the inventory of our legacy network, deeply understand the workflows that our technicians have to and the activities they have to do to transform that piece, but also using the ontology, be able to understand which order of operations we can go through to transform our network and transform our business. And so it was a very, very deep exercise across all the data silos, across all of the workflows, across all of the acquisitions we've made to be able to pull this together. And so using the AI part of AIP, we were able to then have that operational optimization and be able to predict the cost takeout and equipment takeout that we could do over time and set our goals as a company for that transformation. Additionally, as you can see from just how some of the data is organized, really what becomes critical for us in this journey is transform the architecture, transform the experience, transform how our customers are connecting while we're still flying the airplane. And so that is a really big issue when you have to deliver things like 911. And also all the critical data that enterprises like in this room need to run their business. And so this has been incredibly successful for us, but to transform our product offerings and our enterprise customers to be relevant to the AI economy, we had to link inventory to systems, to buildings, but then also to what products have they consumed from us? What is that era of product? What is the new product that we would like to bring to market? How much money is that going to actually save the company by transforming? What's the revenue risk and revenue retention issues that we have around that? But then also, are they able to use the digital experience? Are they getting the speeds that they need, and how are we going to deliver that? So we were able to dissect down into the workflow and into our fiber and into our copper, the capabilities of that inventory as we went. And so as we step forward, really what we're taking a look at is how we automate these workflows. And it's fully automated now for us to be able to dispatch technicians to be able to do this and to be able to have them move the customer with zero packet loss. But additionally, as we step forward, we can have the testing of the automation of the live circuit brought back into that automation flow. As we take a look at the next example, this is the one at how we've taken our physical inventory, matched the product inventory to customers, and created a migration path for our customers and for our portfolio of how fast we can move from traditional things like VPNs over traditional dedicated private lines and T1s, and these are some typical telecommunications products, to one in which we can create that fabric that is necessary to access 36 different data sources and to move along that product journey. So Palantir has been on both of these steps, one on understanding our network, two, understanding our customers, and three, setting up our transformation journey that we can take our customers through and make sure that they can take advantage of the other part of our business, that backbone business, which is building connectivity into the major AI data centers and hyperscalers. And so for a telecommunications company and a service provider, the most complex thing we can do is change the way it was always done. Telecom's been around forever. Service providers have been around for a very long time. And changing the foundation of our revenue source into the new model that we want to work towards, and the new model that's being demanded from the market, required extreme precision, extreme depth into our data, and the Palantir AI platform has fundamentally helped us achieve those goals. So thank you very much.